History is on the line this afternoon in more ways than one at Carl Oval. Valentine are looking to make the finals for the first time since 2010. Edgeworth, they're looking to wrap up a third straight minor premiership. That hasn't been done since Edgeworth did it in 2000. Incredible smudge. What are your thoughts on this afternoon's match?
Well, this is a big game for both sides, isn't it? Valentine have been in the fore virtually all year. Their season's riding on this game. Today, they need a win. However, Edgeworth, they've got the premiership to lose here. It's up to them. A win today, I think, will probably get them over the line for the premiership.
Now, last week we saw Valentine. They took it to Hamilton. Probably unlucky not to take a point out of that game. Do you see them troubling Edgeworth this afternoon?
Yeah, I do. I think if they play their natural game, they don't sit back. Like last week against Hamilton, especially in the second half, they really put pressure on Hamilton. They got the goal. Probably should have went 2 ahead. However, unfortunately for Valentine, they conceded 2 late goals and lost the game.
Yeah, and Hamilton, they've made a habit of that this year. So, they just have been unstoppable in that last 15 minutes. Smudge, just finally, before we go up to CT, a tip. What do you think? Scoreline as well.
Scoreline, I'm thinking I'm going to go 2-0 to Edgeworth. I think Edgeworth, they're playing for the premiership. They're third in a row. They're virtually full strength. I know Sanders is out today. He's had a kidney infection through the week. So he's a bit of a loss for them, but they've got depth. Valentine, you know what? I hope they do well. You feel sorry for them. They're sort of out of the 4 now. But for me, Edgeworth, and they'll get another minor premiership.
All right, we are going to cross up to CT in the grandstand at Carl Oval. This afternoon, it's the match of the round, Valentine Phoenix and Edgeworth Eagles, underway in 5 minutes' time.
Yeah, well said, boys. Look, this is going to be a hugely important game for both sides today. For Valentine, for them to make the semi-finals, it's going to be a must-win, and so that alone on their pitch, home ground, you expect to see a very, very exciting game. Just heard that there's going to be a tribute over the loudspeaker to Les Murray, who passed away earlier in the week, and that's a lovely fitting for him as a great man of Australian football. As far as the conditions go, it's actually quite breezy down on ground level. The pitch looks it's big. Most people know that, but it's also very, very hard looking on the surface. So it's going to run quickly today, and the wind may play a factor, which probably and possibly could play into the hands of Valentine. Edgeworth, on the other hand, they win this one. All they need to do next week is get a draw or better at home against Lake Macquarie, and that for them will be a huge game next week. But regardless, they want to stitch it up today, and pending other results, they could even possibly wrap up the premiership today.
Exactly, and that's the important. That's what Edgeworth need today. 3 points, and the premiership will be theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm expecting a cracking game here this afternoon. It should be a lot of fun to watch. And again, this is the end of the season for Valentine if they don't get it done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Last week, Valentine put on an enormous effort, didn't they, against Hamilton Olympic? As we are going to observe a minute silence here this afternoon for Les Murray, and then we'll be.
And for those that don't know, Les Murray passed away during the week. One of the founding commentators for SBS Football and a stalwart of the game. So, as respect to Les Murray, everyone in the game needs to remember him, and we just have a minute's silence in respect of Les Murray.
Full credit, CT, to Northern New South Wales Football for allowing a minute's silence this afternoon. So fantastic and great that we can support the life of Les Murray. We're going to head downstairs. Damien Smith is there with Darren Sills, Valentine's coach.
So just to remind to all the kids, jumping cast has been a fun. Thanks for coming over to Nate. Hope you had a great day and enjoy your football season this year.
I don't think we've got any audio down there at the moment, so we'll just see if we have corrected the issue. I don't think we've got any audio down there, CT, but just on Les Murray, yeah, what a man.
Absolutely. I had a phone call from Graham Jennings, ex-Socceroo, last Monday evening, and he was just talking about the greatness of the man. He said back in his days playing for the Socceroos, they actually, Les Murray travelled with the team when they went overseas. They stayed at the same hotels. They had meals together, different to the media today. And he said he was very much a part of the Socceroos family. And Graham said that he was very close to him, and what a tribute that it is. So, Ben, look, I think that he'll be sorely missed for a number of reasons. But one thing that I personally remember as a child growing up listening to him, and just him pronouncing all of the players' names, the countries of the world. He was also an education as well as a wonderful commentator of the game. Yeah, exactly, and both sides will be wearing black armbands this afternoon in honour of Les. So, yes, as we said, well done Northern New South Wales football for allowing it all to go ahead. But this afternoon, James Cleal, the referee for this one, Edgeworth in first place, Valentine in fifth, we mentioned pre-game. And Jalen Brown goes back to Matt Paul, and we are underway. Beautiful sunny skies greeting us in Belmont. 21 degrees. The wind is fairly strong, 24 kilometres an hour from the west-northwest. So it's been a pretty windy couple of days in the Hunter. Daniel McBrain now laying it off to Dylan Holtz. And CT, we've spoken about how good Edgeworth have been this season at the back. And that is where I think that's where the match is going to be won or lost today. Edgeworth's defence. Can Valentine breach it? Well, we saw Jalen Brown last week, and he certainly looked like he was going to breach any defence anywhere in the world, to be honest. He was absolutely on fire. He'll be a key for them today. But I agree with what you're saying about Edgeworth's defence. They have been absolutely outstanding all year. And you know what? You keep clean sheets, and you're going to put yourself right in position to win.
Here's Daniel McBrain with a flick on wide for Bazzari. Last week, Edgeworth, they had a match described as scrappy and low in intensity. They won 3-0 against Western at home. So these are the matches that Edgeworth have won over the last two seasons. That's why they have won the last two minor premierships. Aidan Bryce with an early chance straight into the waiting arms of Scott Carter. And that was backing up from their Wednesday night trip down to Melbourne, where they lost in heartbreaking circumstances 1-0 to South Melbourne, as we've discussed previously. So they just come back into the NPL Northern New South Wales and they do the job.
Yeah, but as we said, Edgeworth last week was all about the 3 points, backing up from the Wednesday night against South Melbourne. They did the job, they got the 3 points, and now they're in the hunt for the premiership.
Josh Evans goes across to Aidan Bryce. Now, boys, tactically, how are these two sides lining up this afternoon?
For me, they're a mirror image. They're all both playing 4-3-3. Valentine's played 4-3-3 virtually for the whole course of the year, playing like a 4-2-3-1. But as you know, Edgeworth mixed it up a little bit throughout the year, playing a 4-4-2, a 5-3-2, but they're playing a 4-3-3 today. They're just mirror image. I think, obviously, Zane's looked at Valentine. He was at the game last week. We interviewed him during the game, and obviously he feels that's the shape, best fit for them.
I think that's where we learn a lot about the 4-3-3 system, but to have the versatility to know who you're playing against, and if you've got that ability to be able to mix your team up to, get on top of your opposition and know where their weaknesses are and expose them. That might be in the wide area. So for that, you may play, with 5 at the back, so you've got some overlapping guys, or if they're very strong through the middle, you might sort of play a dime in midfield, or even have 5 through the middle of the park. So just the ability to mix it up is really important.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest grounds in the competition, Carl Oval. Alec Faulkner goes up and over the top, trying to find Josh Murray, who scored last week, just his second of the season for the Phoenix in their 2-1 defeat to Hamilton.
Yeah, so playing a 5-3-2 on a pitch like this, the wing backs are just running 100 metres back and forth. It's too big. So a 4-3-3 probably suits any team on the pitch like this, because you get your wingers high and wide, nice and early, and spread the game. and spread the fullbacks, and there's spaces everywhere, HCT.
Yeah, I think one of the big points you make there, Smudge, is when you have got the ball, you get as wide as you can, but when you're defending, you make it as compact as you can. So it just clogs up the holes and makes it more dangerous.
There's Josh Carroll with a long throw, straight to Nate Cavalieri in the Edgeworth goal. Had a wonderful game in the FFA Cup against South Melbourne. Almost unbeatable. Even got a hand on that final goal that they did score. It's Keanu Moore now. He didn't play in that match. He was cup tied, of course, playing previously for Bentley Greens in the NPL Victoria.
Great challenge.
Making the move back up here to NPL Northern New South Wales. It's Pat Wheeler. Just can't keep the ball inside and across the touchline. But credit to Valentine this afternoon for the crowd that they've brought in here. Haven't seen as big a crowd as this the whole season.
Oh, I agree. I think it's a good atmosphere down here. Two teams. This is a vital game for both sides.
Aiden Bryce gets
and
totally under that.
Tough conditions on the ground. Well, down on the ground, but wasn't it? The wind swirling around. It's like very tough conditions. So I think it's going to be a workmanship effort from both teams today. It's not going to be too pretty football, I don't think, with the wind and the bounce.
It's Josh Carroll. Returns from that one-match suspension missed last week. Murray looks across for Matt Paul. Yeah, last week he didn't play after receiving a red card the week before in their round 18 draw with Maitland. 2-2. He was sent off just after half-time for a second yellow card. Was Josh Carroll. Dylan Holtz down the line. Definitely kept it in.
Nice touch by Jalen Brown. God, he was good last week, wasn't he, boys? Jalen Brown.
Probably one of the best individual performances we've seen all season on Bar TV, and I'm going to say it probably was the best.
Oh, he was just good in every part of his game. His security was great. His distribution was perfect. And he was dangerous. You know, he had his head up and he wanted to know, you know, and those days watching players like that, it's a special day because you don't see players perform that well that often.
But also his defensive duties. He was closing down the back for Olympic all day. He never stopped. Yep. And at the end of the game, he was exhausted, wasn't he?
Oh, he sure was. And he was our Sports Click man of the match, and there was no real discussion from us. It was just an obvious choice. But he was probably... He was a little bit, I guess...
deflated, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, because they'd lost, and also he just put in such a huge effort. So, very interesting.
Here's Adam Corley trying to spin away from Riley Russell. McGinley out of Jalen Brown. The ball caught under his foot.
And just on that, he is the first Man of the Match award given to the losing side this year.
Yeah, and that shows you just how impressive he was. Dylan Hulse back to Keanu Moore. Now Pat Wheeler. They've won 2 straight in the NPL Northern New South Wales since their defeat to Hamilton Olympic 1-0. It was a really tight game at Darling Street, that one. McBreen goes across the face. Russell nods it away. Matt Paul and Valentine have won just 2 of their last 6, so it shows you how in the back half of the season they've just fallen away a little bit. And CT, it could have been 3 of their last 6 if they had have gone on with the job against Adamstown a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely, it could have. And just saw Jalen Brown then again causing some havoc. Yeah, you're spot on, but we spoke about the game and the ground and the wind before. Smudge, what do you think about this and how it's going to impact on the game today?
Yeah, I think for Edgeworth, it's going to be a workmanlike performance. I think they're just going to stick to their game plan, play it, keep it nice and simple, keep it on the deck, use the width, and you know what, they wouldn't be devastated they had a draw today, to be honest, because like Zane said, he thinks 4 points gets in the premiership. Now it's all about the premiership for Edgeworth. But I think what they'll do, they'll try and get into a rhythm, try to get the ball on the deck. Like where we're up here, it's very blowy, isn't it? So
very windy.
Very windy, yeah.
And very much behind the Phoenix in this first half as Brown is knocked over by Josh Evans. Legally so.
That's going to be a great contest between Evans and Pat Wheeler versus Jalen Brown.
And it will be an Eagles throw.
Yeah, today it's all about getting the ball on the deck, isn't it, CT? Just moving the opposition around, keeping to your structures, your patterns of play. using the width when you got the ball, being compact when you haven't got the ball, isn't it?
Yep, 100%
And
agree.
taking your chances. But there is space. If you can get him beyond the back four, get a forward run beyond the back four, out wide, there's space to exploit.
Especially if you've got guys that are quick up front, because the pitch is so big from top to bottom as well as left to right. Yeah, those balls in behind are definitely on. But I'd like to see. If I was coaching one of these teams, just to be keeping lots of possession and moving the other team around a lot and slowly wearing them down. Edgeworth have definitely got the capability to do that, and also has Valentine. But yeah, you're right about keeping it compact in defence, Marge.
It opens up here for Adam Corley. Over the top for Dylan Holtz, and just a little heavy, even into the breeze. And it was such a tight match last time these two sides met. Daniel McBrain, incredibly, that was his first goal of the season. He's only scored one goal since. He scored the only goal in a 1-0 win in round 10 at Jack McLaughlin Oval. It was a really, really close one.
Oh, I agree with that, but I still thought Edgeworth still were in control of the game and played out the game. For me, they were always going to win the game.
And Valentine didn't create many chances, did they?
No, I think, Edgeworth virtually shut him out from the word go. So, but if you watch McBreen today, he's playing as a number 9, but he'll drop deep to look for the ball in the pockets, and Adam Corley, County Moore will run beyond, and that's where they're going to be dangerous. And that's what McBreen's done all year, and that's why he hasn't scored too many goals. He's been the setter-upper.
I'll take that.
Setter-upper.
The setter-upper.
Leaderboard holder-upper.
Yeah.
That's it, Smudge.
So it will be a goal kick. But the most interesting stat that I found coming into this match is that Valentine are the best home side in the comp this year, better than Edgeworth.
Okay.
20 points, 6 wins, 2 draws, and just 1 loss in their 9 matches thus far. Aidan Bryce now. And
yeah, it's tough in the wind, see the bounce. Yeah.
And in addition to that, Edgeworth are the best away side in the comp. They have they've won 7 of their 9 away matches, 2 losses, 21 points.
And on that, talking to Damien Zane at the start of the year, their ground wasn't in great shape, was it? And they were looking forward to playing away.
In saying that, they've only lost 1 match at home, Edgeworth, but they've had a few draws, which early at the season hurt them, but they've since come on strong.
Now, they've always had a great home record. I remember when I was coaching Broomhead over the course of 11 years, I think I only won a few times at Edgeworth.
Here's Pettit on to Carroll. And now Wilson Edwards. Very even thus far. The real question to ask is Dylan Holtz, Keanu Moore, now to Taylor, and Riley Russell. Busy as always in there to thwart the Eagles striker.
What I'm liking about Valentine at the moment, they're not just sitting back. That's what they did against Magic. They sat back and let Magic dictate terms. They're putting pressure on Edgeworth.
Keanu Moore, now back for Taylor. Just tries to slide it on to Adam Corley, and it will be over for a corner kick.
Yeah, they're not sort of sitting off the ball. They're putting pressure on the ball. Even when Edgeworth had the goal kick just recently, they were pushed right on their back four. So, which is good.
And talking about holding possession before, it'll be interesting to see if Edgeworth can get a fair bit of that possession, because it takes a lot of energy out of you when you're going to press on like that.
So here's Corley. Just 2 goals. Here's Aidan Bryce across the face, flapped away by Carter. And Pat Wheeler. How often does he score? Almost striking. Well, he got it on target.
Riley Russell.
Blocked here.
Riley Russell. What a block by Riley Russell. Who's that down?
It's not Riley Russell. It looks maybe Josh Carroll. It is Josh Carroll who's down.
Boys, while we got a little bit of a break in play, we've got some international viewers today. I had a message from Zach Snedden, a former player.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, so Sneddo's over in the States at the moment. He's playing with the Santa Barbara City College team.
What's the time there at the moment?
I believe they're 19 hours behind us, so 4 to 5 hours in front. So what's that going to make them over there about, 7:45 p.m. So it's in their viewing time.
Yeah.
But, he's a former player, and he said he's loving it over there. It's just some quality players, and he said they're really enjoying it. He said one of the players to keep an eye on, just quickly, he's a an 18-year-old from Paris, France. Just come back to that.
Bazzari into the middle. Dylan Holtz. It's a bit of a puff of sand down there in the Valentine 18-yard box. Pat Wheeler.
Great ball.
Now to Holtz, but that'll trickle down to Scott Carter.
Well, one of the players over there that he's playing with, he says his name's Sonny Boyoko, and he's 18 years old. He played for Paris FC, as well as Lille.
Oh, James Clear's gone down CT.
Oh,
sorry to interrupt, James.
You scared me then.
You never see refs fall over. There we go.
I missed it.
James clearly was bowled over. Back to you,
Oh, no, I
CT.
just made the point. It's action everywhere. But Sonny Boyoko is coming to Australia, we think, to play hopefully in this league next year.
For Valentine? Is
Don't
that
know.
getting him to play for
Don't
Valentine?
know. It's an opportunity. Maybe Sealsy can fill us in on that one. Apparently he's a quality winger. So with any luck, we'll get to see some international young player from France come and join. And I'm loving this about our competition. We're getting some great exposure, and we see players from
International players.
Yeah, absolutely, and former A-League players, and go back 20 years and it'd just be it'd be the locals, and that'd be about it.
That's right.
So,
I thought you were about to say Sonny Bill Williams actually when you were about to say his name. Yeah.
He'd probably be all right. So naturally talented.
No, too big.
You think?
Yeah.
He'd be a good stopper, wouldn't he, Smudge? He wouldn't get past him.
First 5 yards, I think he would struggle. You need good 5 yards on you in this game, Bart.
Pasquale. Now to Holtz, and now back for Dom Bazzari. So
This is where Aidan Bryce can really exploit the big park up here. If he can overlap in that wide area and they can knock a long ball, they could be very dangerous, Edgeworth, and vice versa to Valentine. But I think Edgeworth will be very cautious going forward. They'd only have one fullback going forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask you boys, do you think if Valentine and Edgeworth share the points this afternoon, that Valentine can still make the finals? It does make it difficult. It depends on what happens tomorrow. But do you think it's a mission impossible if they only get a point this afternoon?
It's going to be tough. You know what? It depends on Magic's mindset tomorrow. They're playing the Jets. They're expected to win. However, they'll be deflated after their loss on Wednesday night, where they should have actually probably got a result.
It's Kyra. I'd agree with that. It's McGinley. And another heartbreaking defeat for a northern club. It's Carroll to the back of Bazzari. Speaking of interesting names, CT, that you just mentioned the young boy from Paris. Boyoko, yeah, on Wednesday night. There's a couple, I'm doing an FFA Cup game on Wednesday night, and there's a couple from Far North Queensland Heat that are going to be very difficult for me to say. So,
have you, can you unwrap any right now, Bart?
No, I'll have a look at half time. Daniel McBrain's going to also have to. He's going to have to check those out as well, because he'll be calling with me. So.
And what game is that, Bart? It's Sydney United?
Sydney United versus Far North Queensland Heat on the stream. So.
And just on that, I thought Daniel McBrain did a great job on Fox Sports on Wednesday night.
He
Blacktown
did.
versus Central Coast.
What a game, What a game. 2 nights in a row. 2 local sides, 2 NPL sides, I should say, winning.
Yeah, I was actually going. Blacktown's an old club of mine, Bart, so I was actually going for Blacktown. They
and
did
how
well.
good was Heidelberg as well, dominating Perth Glory. Riley Russell. And Brodie Taylor evades him, strikes it across the face, and somehow it misses hitting the post or slipping inside the back post.
Reece Petty needs to concentrate around that 6-yard box. He just lifted his head when he went to clear the ball.
How awful would have that been for him after what happened last weekend against Hamilton? His ball gifting Hamilton the winner, and then there slicing one into the back of his net.
He's a very good player, Reece Pettit, but he does tend to have a few brain snaps every now and again. He just needs to concentrate for the full 90 minutes, especially around his defensive box area.
Here's Bazzari across to Pasquale. And Pasquale straight into Josh Carroll. It deflects nicely off his shoulder, and then Matt Paul, McGinley.
And again, Valentine, very tight defensive unit, really clogging up the middle of the park.
Now,
likewise, Edgeworth as well.
McBrain over the top for Taylor. Alec Faulkner's back. Carter's out. Holtz. And blocked, I think, there by Pettit.
Yeah, good double man on Holtz.
And now
well played.
Keanu Moore to Bazzari. It might fall nicely for him. It does across the face, and Carter gets the outstretched arms out. A really good smother from him.
Smudge, you said Valentine's defence has been great, and they need to be, because Edgeworth are just pouring it on at the moment, and they just look like the field position's better, the territory's great, and they're just attacking in numbers. So a bit of a hang-on period for Valentine.
Here's McBreen. You don't want to give him that much space that often. Here's Bazzari, cross the face. McBreen, he's still searching for his third of the season in the NPL.
Even then, Bazzari had the ball, the wind's blowing around, and he couldn't really control the ball. It's very difficult positions out there.
But at the moment, we've gone almost 19 minutes. Edgeworth look very, very comfortable at the back, don't they?
And they're doing well. The shape's perfect for this game. And where they're dangerous is that forward run behind the back four, which has happened a few times with Aidan Bryce, Don Bazzari, fullbacks getting forward in wide areas. That's going to cause problems for Valentine. Especially with McBreen dropping into the pocket, allowing his midfielders like Corley and County Moore to run beyond him as well. They're hard to pick up.
Now, boys, I mentioned about how Valentine best home side in the comp, Edgeworth best away side in the comp. This is another stark statistic. Valentine have conceded 10 goals in their last 4 matches. Aidan Bryce, this one should go over the byline and does. So Valentine 10 goals in their last 4 matches they've conceded. Edgeworth have conceded 10 goals in their last 15 matches in the NPL.
We're looking at Edgeworth's against, 12 goals against, which is by far the best. Their back four has been rock solid. More so their back two in Josh Evans and Pat Wheeler have been outstanding for me this year.
And Pat Wheeler probably one of the best players in the comp this year.
I agree with that.
And let's not leave Josh Evans out of that one.
Yeah, he's quality.
He's been sensational.
Rumours he won't be at the club next year.
Is that your rumour? Is that one you're spreading?
No. I've heard, so wait and see.
What, work commitments moving away?
Work commitments I've heard, yeah.
Or is he signing with Broadmeadow Magic?
I don't think he's signed with Broadmeadow Magic. I know one man who has signed for Broadmeadow Magic. He's not out there this afternoon. Daniel Miners normally plays in the midfield for Valentine. He was at Edgeworth last year. Now he's going to Magic, so his third club in 3 seasons. As Alec Faulkner launches that one forward. Reece Kyra tries his luck.
That rumour's been swirling around like the wind at the moment, wasn't it, for the last few weeks? So
it's been confirmed now.
Been confirmed.
It's just that time of the year. There's rumours, there's players, there's all sorts of things going on.
There's even a rumour you've got the boots back on for Smudge's Challenge this year. You're going to give it a go? I've heard a rumour.
We'll see how we go, Smudge. See how we go.
Pat Wheeler.
We do, it won't be pretty.
If you do it, as long as you don't cheat.
No, we'd never do that. Just maybe even up the odds in the way possible.
I heard Western were looking for some experienced players. I thought you might be going there, CT. Bring some experience to the club.
Bolchi likes experienced players, doesn't he?
Bolchi does as well.
There's experience and there's geriatric. You've got to just get the difference between them. Speaking of Michael Bolch, we saw him at the ground a little bit earlier, Smudge.
Yeah, we've seen him at the ground. He's here obviously spying and just having a look what's happening. They've got a massive game against Lake Macquarie tomorrow, so obviously he's full attention towards Edgeworth today to see what happens there, because they're still fighting for the premiership. I think an Edgeworth win today might make it out of reach for Mick Bolch, because Edgeworth played Lake Macquarie last round, but see what happens.
He was at the canteen, he bought a packet of chips and then
and a snitty burger.
And he just took off like a dog shot in the butt. He did. He was straight into his car and away he went.
We'll try and get a shot of him at half time if you stick around, so we'll try and zoom in on Bolchi. But I was speaking to him during the week and he said to me, as Jalen Brown, Evans sort of lost his bearings for a moment there. Needed the compass, as here's Evans putting it back over the touchline.
Tackle.
Yeah, great job. He sized him up, didn't he? Yeah. He knew Jalen Brown was going to go down the left-hand side, so he positioned his body like that, waited for him to go, then made the slide tackle.
And the other thing for young players that are watching this, the good point there, Smudge has made the comment about his body position and shape to angle him off one way, and he stayed pretty low and central, so he could actually change direction quickly if he needed to, not fall upright.
Carroll with a long throw, and that was into the breeze. Matt Paul, and the clearance away from Evans. Up goes Riley Russell. That was an effort to try and get himself above Brodie Taylor. He's the shortest player out there. He did well. It's Taylor with the back heel neatly onto Aiden Bryce, who scored last weekend. Hasn't scored too often this season as Bryce, just twice, and second in the 90th minute last week.
What's
a
he
bit
doing?
scrappy it was as Faulkner with the back heel. McBrain on the ball now for Edgeworth. Infield he goes, finds Bryce. Russell is there to intercept, and Faulkner hoofs it clear. Yeah, Mick Bolch said to me that he'll wait and see the results for Saturday's games, and he thinks that'll have as we know, a huge impact on the competition and a huge impact on the remaining matches of Hamilton's season, because they'll know whether the minor premiership race is still on. They'll know whether Valentine are out of the race.
But the other thing is, you have to be careful. You do not, for me, you do not want to be playing coming in for playing Edgeworth in a home and away semi-final series. They're the pinnacle side at the moment, so he needs to be a little bit careful what he does. He still needs a result against Lake Macquarie tomorrow.
Here's Kyra.
Oh, well played.
Now to Murray, former Phoenix and Western Sydney Wanderers foundation player. He was Reece Kyra. The Wanderers getting the job done over Wellington during the week in the FFA Cup. 1-0 in the last minute. McGinley. Infielder goes for Jalen Brown.
See how tight he is in the centre. Both sides are really compact in the centre of the park.
And McBrain gives away the free kick.
Full credit to Darren Sills. He's really set up well here, hasn't he?
He has, but I have to say that it appears that Edgeworth have had the dominance so far of possession and field position, for Valentine, when they get in these areas, just have a little bit of composure so they get used to, or just set up some more play down this end of the park.
We're in the top 4 in the competition. Valentine, since has had it with the header on, they've been in the top 4 since round 4. So round 4 to round 20, Valentine were in the top 4.
That is a tremendous effort, especially when you tipped him to come 8th, Bart, or 9th.
Yeah, when did you tip him to come? Out there as well.
That's fair. Most people did.
Yeah, I agree. Craig Carey from the Herald was 9th. Good tip, Craig. He'll be watching, won't he? Or listening.
I'm sure he will be, unless he's in the stand, as Matt Paul, McBrain, into Faulkner, now Kyra.
Do you know what? Valentine's doing really well here. I know the Edgeworth's had the lion's share of possession, but defensively, they've really restricted Edgeworth to minimal chances, haven't they?
Jalen Brown clattered into by Pat Wheeler. And both Valentine, the thing I've been most impressed by them this year, and why I have tipped them a lot on the show, is because they've shown their ability to score goals.
Sponsorship?
And they've no sponsorship. And they've been exciting to watch as well.
Yeah, they've got some exciting players. And talking to Darren Sills, I haven't seen all their games this year, but he said Matty Paul's been a standout for them this year. Obviously, Jalen Brown's been brilliant with 12 goals, and he's one of the best players in the comp, isn't he, CT? But Matty Paul's an unsung hero. He does a lot of work in the midfield, and he's been outstanding for him.
Huge amount of work, and also McGinley, for me as well. He's like their rock or the glue of the team.
His brother Paul was at the club last year, moving on for this season. Dylan Holtz down the line.
He's isolated him.
Wilson Edwards, he beats him with ease, and Holtz towards the near post. It'll go over for a goal kick.
Just on that, see how Dylan Holtz isolated Wilson Edwards. He needs cover defence there, doesn't he, CT? You don't want to be one-on-one in those sort of areas, because Holtz got past him and he could have drove into the box. You need cover.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what Smudge is talking about there exactly is that when you've got a second defender there just tucking in behind, so on that occasion where he did get through, you've got someone else's backup.
Aiden Bryce. Now, they actually played a trial match a couple of weeks ago, Valentine, against New Lambton Eagles, as Faulkner looks for his American teammate. Yeah, they played New Lambton Eagles a couple of weeks ago in a trial match on a Thursday night just to give them a game. And they had the bye in the New FM competition, New Lambton. I'll be supporting them. They're my team, CT, New Lambton Eagles.
They are, but...
Love the Eagles.
They've missed the 4, haven't they? They've missed the 4.
But in the 19s, they're still going strong. They'll be in the finals next week, so...
I'll tell you what, one of my favourite experiences this year was in the sheds after New Lambton beat...
how good was that, wasn't it?
Cohiba in the FFA Cup. It was a brilliant feeling. It was just raw passion in that shed, wasn't it? They had everyone virtually in the whole club in that tiny little shed.
And it was a great It was a great moment for them after the tragedy earlier in the season with Chris Shakespeare passing away. That was incredible. The plaque in the shed for Wobbles, that was a great night. We're keen to do that again next year with the FFA Cup, doing a few of the new FM sides and also the Zone League competition as well. So,
and it gives them exposure, and the players love it as well. So
so let us know if you got a good game coming up. We'll have a look at we're going to try and pick a few of the earlier rounds next year and see if we can cover them. Riley Russell under pressure. Brodie Taylor breaks free. Taylor! Carter. Too good from Scott Carter. Again, he's been really good the last two matches in goals for the Phoenix.
When Carter was walking out, he just had that still, oily look. He was focused. That's the most I've seen him focused this year. He was really focused, and he's looks like a brick wall in that goal, doesn't he?
He sure does, and he knows he's got a big game on his hand because he knows he's going to have to perform. He'll be under pressure, and he's just dealt with that one as well as the one that Bart mentioned he flapped away.
He did.
And in a game like this with windy and tough conditions, there's only going to be a few chances either side.
Adam Corley veers infield. Brodie Taylor. Back he goes to Bryce, who curls it high. It's swirling around. Gee, that's a good header from Dylan Holtz with the ball swirling around in the breeze. Made it look easy. Towards the sideline. Lambton, they scored really early on against Maitland. They led 1-0. Ryan Griffiths is suspected once Maitland, their finals hopes mathematically aren't gone, but let's be honest, I think they're over. Pat Wheeler, we suspected this one.
Whenever you start talking mathematically, they're gone.
Yeah, and that's exactly the case.
Here's Corley trying to thread it through. Yeah, we suspected Lambton with Maitland with little to play for after they've been putting in the last few weeks may just fall away the last couple of rounds. So
just here, Valentine's starting to drop a little bit deep. They don't want to fall into this habit of dropping deep because it's going to open up space for the Edgeworth midfielders. They'll be able to have movement off the ball, rotating midfielders, get forward runs beyond, and then it's going to be tough for Valentine.
Bryce Corley just stopped for a minute. Thought the ball was a little heavy, and then in the end, if he had have kept going, probably may have got the ball.
That's what we're talking about. Sorry.
Moment of hesitation.
That's what we were talking about before, Smudge, with that field possession and teams actually having lots of possession on the ball, and whoever does that is going to have go a long way to this one. Edgeworth have really started to keep the ball for longer periods, which has helped them move into those areas that we were just talking about. At the moment, if a goal comes for Valentine, potentially slightly against the run of play.
Here's Kyra. Back for Edwards. McGinley with his toe in. Carroll with a nice touch to Edwards, who bangs into Pasquale and gives away the free kick.
I think for Valentine, they just need to stay in the game. Stay in the game as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw that just on that last play there when Valentine did have some possession, how Edgeworth squeezed it up, and there were a lot of players in a small area.
This is better from Valentine. So their back four's pushed up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wheeler over the top for Bazzari. Carter is flying out into the middle. Taylor, all he has to get is a touch. He does exactly that. And Edgeworth, they're on their way at Carl Oval. 1-0 lead just after the half-hour mark. And the question is raised, did Scott Carter have to come all the way out?
Yeah, I think if he had his time again, he was already committed. If he had his time again, he probably would have just held his ground because Holt still had a lot of work to do, didn't he? But that was a great header by Brodie Taylor. What Brodie Taylor did well was jump early. He jumped early over the defender, and that's a worthy 1-0 lead to Edgeworth. They're going to be hard to pin back now.
Watch this one in replay. You're exactly right. Carter has his time again.
Don Bazzario was.
There. But he was already committed. It looked that way that he was committed. Good goal for Edgeworth.
Yeah, sorry, Don Bazzari. Great cross by Don Bazzari.
And Brodie Taylor up against Riley Russell. It was a mismatch, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Brodie Taylor jumping early. That was the key.
And much easier to get a higher jump when you've got that momentum behind you. There's Pat Wheeler now. So is it going to be another minor premiership with the 1-0 lead for Edgeworth? There is a long way to go, but when they lead 1-0, the statistics say that Edgeworth aren't beaten often.
You know what? They just know how to close out a game, but there's still a long way to go in this game. very important for Valentine to maintain their focus, to not concede again, because you can score 2 goals in 2 minutes, can't you, CT? And that can be the last minutes of the game.
And you know what? As a coach, sometimes you start thinking, all right, do I need to start changing because the dominance of the possession that Edgeworth have had and where they've been positioned themselves on the park, mostly in your end, you think, okay, what do I need to change? How are we going to fix this? And that's probably something that's running through Darren Sills' mind right now as well.
Here's Bryce cutting infield. They've been dominant over the last 6 years against the Phoenix. Carter out again. Pose it away. McBrain tries his luck from distance. Edgeworth, they haven't been undefeated in the last 7. They have won the last 7 matches against Valentine. Impressive in itself. And by a scoreline of 20 goals to 4 those last 7 matches.
Oh, Pat Wheeler. That is quality.
Here's McBrain. The last time Valentine beat Edgeworth was back in round 14, 2011. And the Phoenix won 1-0 here at Carl Oval. Here's Keanu Moore, tiptoeing down the touchline. Gets away from Reese Pettit, who puts a shoulder into him and gives away the free kick. So, boys, that last win Valentine had against Edgeworth, Talon Martin scored for the Phoenix. Do you remember him?
I do remember him. Yep.
Because it's a name. Yeah, obviously I wasn't covering the competition back then. So
he came from somewhere like Marconi or one of the Sydney NPL sides, because I think he moved up this way. But
who was coaching the Phoenix back then?
It wasn't Bolchi. It was
someone might be able to help us out with that one.
Darryl McAllister.
There you go.
The Thornton.
Coaching at Thornton.
Could have been so much.
So Corley curling it in. It was Wilson Edwards with the header away, and Jalen Brown, while he has got pace, he's got 4 Edgeworth players in front of him. And he cannot keep the ball inside the touchline.
Boys,
just sorry to cut you off. So see Josh Carroll here is defending. I want to see him tucked even further in. To me, just it drifts out a little bit wide. They're 2 wide blokes in Josh Carroll and Josh Murray. They need to tuck further in.
McBrain wants to whip it to the middle of the ground. Intercepted by Edwards. Daniel McBrain, he scored in each of his last 3 matches against the Phoenix. A goal in each. And a special one last year at the Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility in round 15. He scored in the 4-2 win. It was a special from him, but the footage has gone missing, so I haven't seen it. Here's Holtz. Sliding back infield. Still Holtz. He has McBrain and Moore there. And it's Alec Faulkner with the eventual clearance. Josh Murray will be first across there. He'll leave it for Riley Russell. What have Valentine got to do here, boys? They have rarely troubled Edgeworth in the opening half here.
I think they just cannot concede another goal. Otherwise, I think it's going to be very difficult for them.
McBrain looking for Holtz.
The longer the game goes 1-0, they're still in with a chance. They just need to get a few sniffs at goal, which they've barely had a sniff, have they?
Yeah, one of the things that they could do is look at, the Edgeworth back forward. Typically, they play reasonably flat, as you see right now. So on such a big park, the instruction could be to push your strikers right on, shift your field position and play balls in behind, on the ground, into the holes in behind, and put them in a foot race. Jalen Brown in particular.
Yeah, or the other thing is, Jalen Brown's playing a high number 9. You drop him back in the midfield, create an overlap in the midfield, an extra man in the midfield, and get deep runners running forward at the back 4.
These are the types of things that are going through Darren Sills' mind right now, and how he's going to change that around to make it happen. Sure, Smudge, they can't concede another goal because you think it'll be possibly too far to come back. Nothing's impossible.
Well played. That was well played.
And it opens up here for the Phoenix. Kyra. He goes to Jalen Brown, who takes on Bazari, gets onto his left boot, holds off Wheeler, tries to thread it through for Russell, but there were 3 Edgeworth players there. Even if Josh Evans had an air swing there, Aiden Bryce was there, as was Brodie Taylor.
And just on that, it looked like Sills had moved Jalen Brown out to the left-hand side, give him some more room, because Evans and Wheeler have been smothering him in the centre back. So you could even try that, bring Jalen Brown out a little bit wider so he's 1-on-1 rather than 2v1.
It's got a very similar feeling about the round 10 match between these two sides. Edgeworth with an early goal, and Valentine having very little opportunities in the front third. Brodie Taylor swerves his way away from Riley Russell and will be over for a corner for Reece Pettit.
Yeah, I agree with that, Bart. It's a very similar game, isn't it? Similar conditions.
Yeah, less than 7 to go before half-time. Yeah, that afternoon it was Edgeworth's 125th anniversary. And they had the Arnett's program there, CT. Big afternoon there. It was a cold, overcast day.
Yep, that it was.
Dylan Holtz and Carter.
Yeah, Carter better be careful.
And it was Pettit with the header away. Paul, and look at this. Jalen Brown as McBreen can't keep the shot on target or down. Yeah, you saw there Pasquale straight in front of Jalen Brown. They're all over him, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd tend to maybe bring him out a little bit wider because they're really compact in defence, Edgeworth are. Maybe start him a little bit wider, swap him with Josh Carroll or Josh Murray, or get him to drop a little bit deeper and play with 2 number 10s instead of a number 9. So therefore, Wheeler and Evans haven't got anyone to mark. Therefore, someone might have to step out of the line. Just try and throw it at him. And you're disagreeing with me there, CT?
No, not at all. I was just wondering how a penguin builds his house.
With an igloo or something to do there?
He glues it together.
Oh.
There you go. Well, at least I got this one. Here's a poor pass from Adam Corley.
You didn't get this one. You said an igloo.
He skewed that. Yeah. He said it had something to do with an igloo. So there you go.
That's what he meant.
Yeah, but that was a given.
Reece Pettit. Wilson Edwards now to Carroll.
CT, I'd like to say your jokes are getting better, but they're not, mate. The best one was Gary Rose. We gave him a player of the day, didn't we?
Ben on camera enjoyed it. Just saw him chuckling over there, saw his body wiggling.
Wiggling, gee, that's a good description, CT. Aiden Bryce.
So, boys, we've got the Harry's player of the day, Harry Snitzel player of the day, and the Sports Click man of the match we need to award today. So we'll probably talk more about in the second half.
And pole position at the moment is Valentine with their getting the big crowd in here. Done a good job. We've had a very sparse crowd at matches this year.
We've got a solid crowd in today, that's for sure.
Everyone's got their orange hats on.
You filled out the survey, Smudge, or I filled it out for you. Holtz and Edwards. And now back for Pettit.
I think he only got 7 out of 10 with the answers, Bart.
Goes up the line. Pasquale. Up and over the top for Pettit. Looking for Matt Paul in the middle, who was out a little wider. McGinley didn't look good, that fall to the park. He clutched at the knee straight away, but play will go on. Dylan Holtz. Can he put in another ball? Carter can't keep it out. Dylan Holtz, I don't know if he meant it, but it'll count. 2-0 Edgeworth before the break, and that could be the hammer blow.
Yeah, I don't think he meant it. I think he went to cross. It sort of skewed off his boot a little bit. Carter was trying to read the cross. However, I think the wind sort of scuffed the ball up and it came off the side of the boot, and unfortunately for Carter, went into his near stick. 2-0 to Edgeworth. Going to be hard to beat now, and they're going to be hard to beat for the premiership.
Almost impossible, I'm going to say, Smudge. Almost impossible.
Here it is again.
Here it is, Carter just coming out, and then he's wrong-footed.
Yeah, he's trying to read the cross, but I think the ball sort of bubbled up on Dylan Holtz, and it sort of skewed off his boot, but obviously Dylan Holtz will take that, and Edgeworth will definitely take that.
Absolutely. You know, with a cross like that, Carter's come off his line because he thought it was going to go about towards the penalty spot, and that probably was his downfall there, anticipating. And I guess you let it go there, and someone's got an easy tap, and he's had to get caught in between.
Edgeworth need to be, Valentine need to be very careful here. They don't switch off, because this is where Edgeworth are at their best. When they score 1 or 2 quick goals, they go on with the game very well. Another goal for Edgeworth, game's over for me.
It was 4-0 here last year.
Oh.
Edgeworth had a field day. Edwards strong into Holtz. Probably lucky just to be a free kick.
Obviously, Broadmeadow Magic will be wiping their hands over this result. Less pressure on them tomorrow versus the Jets. That's another big game, isn't it?
Huge game. Peter Haynes' last in Magic colours at Magic Park in a regular season match, I'll say.
I was going to correct you then, Bart, but you got it right.
If they make the finals. Don't want to say they're definitely going to make it. I made that mistake about 2 years ago with Western. They had a draw with Maitland in round 14, 2015. And I said as I was leaving the ground to one of the Western guys, I'll see you back here for the finals, and they didn't make it. It just missed out. So, yes.
Commentator's curse. We talk about it all the time. Yeah.
And it wasn't even commentating. Here's Pettit. Flick on from McGinley. And Pettit's header is straight to McBrain. Matt Paul across the ground. Russell. Well, things start to open up a little bit. Now that there's a 2-goal lead. Not as much pressure on Edgeworth at the back. Maybe lose a little bit of concentration. Is there a chance of that?
Yeah, there's a chance of it, but Valentine cannot lose today. So if they lose, the game's over for them.
Season's over.
Yeah. So for and against doesn't matter.
But you know what Smudge says when you start talking mathematically. I agree with that.
No, I'm saying for and against doesn't matter. Just go for it, whether you get beat.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's hard to go for it right now because if they get exposed, it's going to be 3-0, and then it's definitely game over. A 2-0 result, you can keep that going to about 10 to go, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess that's the point I was making, that they have to get themselves in this game. So you see a fair bit of desperation from them.
Pettit.
Like even a draw today for Valentine doesn't mean it's over because Magic play Olympic next week as well.
It's tomorrow's match for mine with Magic and the Jets youth. It's got everything riding on it. Here's Pettit. Takes it away from goal. Cavalieri is across to shepherd him over there.
The close.
This is better from Valentine. Pettit into the middle. Evans.
They're very slow to close down Edgeworth.
Here's Josh Carroll down towards the corner flag. His ball along the pitch and over for an Eagles throw. 15 seconds, less than 15 seconds now left before stoppage time. Dylan Holtz and Brodie Taylor with the goals for Edgeworth in the last 15 minutes of the first half.
Both them players have had fantastic years, haven't they, boys?
Not just this year,
that's
previous year.
what I said, fantastic years.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what, we're talking about good players. We've got to start, looking towards our sports click man of the match during the second half. What the foundation is built on the first half. Puma have done a great job with Sports Click to fit us out, so we appreciate what they do for us here.
Joel Grinnell's out at Lambton today.
Yep, he sure is, and he'll be enjoying that.
And that is half-time here at Carl Oval. And it's Edgeworth who will go in with one hand on the minor premiership with a 2-0 lead. Dylan Holtz and Brodie Taylor with the goals, boys. Just your thoughts on the first half and what Darren Sills has got to do if Valentine are to keep their season alive.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things here for me. The first one is that Edgeworth are on top on the scoreboard, and they're on top in terms of the gameplay, possession and field position. So Silsey needs to go in and have a good look at that. How do you do it? For me, one possible way is that the flatness of the back four of Edgeworth has been a little bit obvious because we're up high, we can see it. But there's opportunities on such a large ground to get in behind them and
turn them around.
With the speed of the front men that Valentine have got, I think balls have got to start going in behind them. And I'm not suggesting playing long balls down the park. I'm talking balls from the middle of the park on the deck and sliding into holes behind the defenders to find some pockets for the attackers to run into. Smudge.
100% agree. But the other thing is Valentine's most dangerous player is Jalen Brown, and they're smothering him at the back, aren't they? Bryce and Wheeler. And also Evans. So for me, I like to see Jalen Brown drift out a little bit wide or come a little bit deeper, overload the midfield, and then get the runners beyond the back four, like you said. Try and run beyond the back four because they are a little bit flat. For Edgeworth, they just need to go about their business and close this game out and virtually close the premiership out.
Yep.
And I said I said Edgeworth have probably got one hand on the minor premiership, which is actually at your house, CT, for our show. So we better give it back, I think.
Yeah,
but,
that's a good point.
In saying that, Smudge has probably also got one hand on the tipping trophy for this year because we both tipped Valentine and he tipped Edgeworth. We had to throw a bit of caution to the wind. We had to play three at the back, push some numbers forward this weekend, try something a bit different.
We're doing a Valentine on
how far am I ahead?
You're about 4 tips ahead. So
really?
We need Valentine.
5 after today.
Yeah, it'll be gone.
Solid performance, Smudge. Anyway, so what we do know is whatever your tips next week, we're going the opposite way.
That's right. All right, well, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 10 here at Carl Oval. Half-time, it is Valentine Phoenix 0, Edgeworth Eagles 2. Welcome back to Carl Oval. Second half, Darren Sills is keeping his side in the shed still at the moment. Now, CT, big game coming up tomorrow on Bar TV Sports. We won't be there, but it'll be out at Macquarie Field, 2:30 p.m. Hamilton Olympic taking on Lake Macquarie. And we've spotted the Hamilton Olympic coach here at Carl Oval this afternoon.
Who would have thought he'd come and have a look? You just wouldn't believe. Oh, hang on.
There he
Here
is.
we go. We've got him on screen.
Dylan Holtz is in the way. There he is.
There we go. That's Michael Bolch.
Give us a wave, Bolchy. I know he's watching.
And he's listening.
There we go. So big game for him tomorrow.
There may be a slight lag on the... because I know he's definitely having a watch and listen.
And Valentine are back out on the park. So they'll be running from right to left in the bright orange. Edgeworth from left to right. And they're black with the red V.
Well, this won't be a result that will please Michael Bolch the way things are progressing here. He'll be hoping for a big comeback from Valentine Phoenix in the second half.
So it'll be Edgeworth to get us underway in the second half. James Cleal just
Well,
getting another ball.
Sorry, one thing it does, if Valentine do lose, Olympic are definitely in the semi-final.
Exactly.
They're definitely in. So they're definitely in the four. So
You know what? If you're Michael Bolch, you've probably not got that in your mindset.
Yeah, true.
You want it. You want to go ahead and get your hands on the premiership, the minor premiership. You're right though. You take it for sure. It'll lock things up for Olympic, but he'd be pretty disappointed. Would be my thoughts.
So
if they didn't get
quickly,
another crack at it.
yeah, with the intensity from Jalen Brown there off the kickoff, we're back underway in the penultimate round of the season. Valentine down by 2-0 at home. So what has Darren Sills done at half-time just to change things up for them? Because they're going to have to change things up, aren't they?
Well, McBreen uses his body very well and his experience. And look at Adam Corley.
Corley flowing forward. Out comes Carter across the face. Taylor for two. How does it not go in?
That was a premiership winning goal, that one, I reckon. They would have went 3 up and they would have been hard to track back. See McBreen use his body in the middle of the park. That was superb. Just rolled Reece Pettit off his back.
And we've barely gone 40 seconds in the second half.
I don't know if you get the opportunity at home to replay that back at some point, but what did happen was Valentine, and maybe this is an intention, there were 4 players up in the edge of the transitioning third at that end, at their attacking end. So that, for me, is a clear intention to attack. That didn't seem to be much regard for the defence. We're having 4 guys left high up in the park.
And you talk about forward runs. Adam Corley ran about 40 yards beyond the back 4. McBreen played him in. Great ball across the holes, but I think the wind was bobbling the ball around for Holtz to finish it off. Or Brody Taylor, to finish it off. But I think Valentine just need to be careful. At 2-0, it's a dangerous score. We always talk about it. But you're still in the game at 2-0 up until about a few minutes to go.
Yeah.
So once it's 3-0, for me, it's all over. So I think for Silsey, I think they just need to be very careful and don't get exposed too early in the game.
Yeah, totally agree, because once it goes to 3, as you say, then it probably is too far. 2, you're in, but once you get to 3, and then you've really got to attack it out, and then it could end up being 4 or 5. So, you don't want that result. You want to keep yourself in the game as long as you can.
Well, the first card of the afternoon goes to Lockie Pasquale as he brought down Matt Paul cynically there. So Valentine, a chance for them to move forward and create some pressure here. Alec Faulkner standing over the ball. He's got Riley Russell on his left. Over on the far side, Wilson Edwards. He'll just chip it forward. Reece Pettit getting forward.
Josh Evans, superb header.
Dylan Holtz launches one towards the middle of the park. And although he was disappointed with the ball, just takes a little bit more time off the clock. Won't be too disappointing for them. They're up 2-0. Basically cruising at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I said at the halftime break, I think Edgeworth's probably in about second gear, to be honest. They're just defensively, the shape is just spot on. They're working very well as a unit. They've got good rotation midfield.
And Aiden Bryce has gone to ground. A little bit of strife. Riley Russell, he was very nonchalant there as he was going back, and Dylan Holtz almost picked his pocket.
Great ball.
Jalen Brown, now to McGinley.
That's better from Brown. He's dropping a little bit deeper into the pockets where there's actual room. Evans won't track him all the way back there, so that's what it'll be good to see Jalen do a bit more of in the second half.
Alec Faulkner, it'll to be a really tough ask for the Phoenix in the second half as Faulkner slides this one off the side of his boot, and that's going to beat Wilson Edwards over the line. A little scrappy there. 12 goals Edgeworth have conceded this year, the best defence in the competition. Hamilton Olympic with the second best. They've conceded 18, so once again a great season from Hamilton at the back.
Lambton 1, Maitland 1. Just talking to Robert Virgili, who's at the game, he said Maitland had a few players out, but he said, I wouldn't be surprised if Maitland score next. That's what he actually said to me on the phone just a few minutes ago.
Isn't it? Without Matt Thompson or Matt Comerford.
Yep.
And without really a hope of making the finals, unless something dramatic happens tomorrow. Faulkner to Brown. Turns away. Russell. Now let's talk hypothetically, Smudge. Valentine lose here. Obviously it takes the pressure off Magic. Could they sort of just relax a little bit and it could prove to be detrimental?
Yeah, maybe, but you know what? They're playing for a semi-final spot tomorrow. If Valentine lose here, Magic are all out. If they win tomorrow, they're in. And you know the other thing is, there's still a chance, depending on how Lambton go, a chance of making second or third spot in Olympics. So depending on results over the weekend, because for me, I wouldn't want to be playing Edgeworth in a home and away semi-final series. It's going to be a very tough game.
It's looking extremely likely in the finals that it's going to be Hamilton and Lambton over 2 legs. And those two have some history in the finals. Some real history. CT, you and I were there a couple of seasons ago when they played and Reece Cooper scored the extra time winner as Valentine get the free kick here. You remember that one well?
Sure do, yeah. And there is some history there. I was reading something else, so I wasn't overly capturing what Smudge was talking about, but it sounded like at the end he was hoping for a Magic second or third finish. Was that the summary?
No, I wasn't saying that, but I think the Lambton and...
Hoping for a Magic grand final win. I thought that's...
I haven't said that.
Here's Josh Carroll. Curling it towards the back post, and it'll be over for a goal kick in the end. Smudge, you don't have to say that.
I didn't say it.
Was he talking about,
we just know.
Without rabbling here, was he actually talking
I didn't say
about Magic could finish second or third? Is that what he said?
He was talking about Lambton and Hamilton battling it out for second.
Right. Sorry, I take that back, Smudge. Some of it.
Just on the Maitland-Lambton game, Carl Thornton scored for Maitland.
King Carlos. He was on 60 seconds with CT. He scored a volley against the Jets youth earlier in the season. A really nice goal. I think 1 goal of the week, actually, that goal. His brother Lamb scored against Lakes a couple of weeks ago. Holtz across the face. Here it opens up almost for Edgeworth. McGinley steps away from Pasquale and plays a ball. Looks much too heavy for Jalen Brown and is.
And how smart a run was that with Pat Wheeler, just getting in front of Jalen Brown, just to balk him.
He's scored 8 in his last 8, Jalen Brown, and the only goals in those last 8 matches that he has, the only games he hasn't scored in those last 8 matches were against the Jaffs in round 15, and where they did win an Olympic last weekend. But he had we've spoken about the impact he had on last weekend's match, the assist for Josh Murray, and almost unstoppable. Keanu Moore over the top for Brodie Taylor. Corley couldn't get there. Yeah, Adam Corley, what a surprise that is. He scored some huge goals for Edgeworth in the FFA Cup, but just 2 goals. 2 goals for Edgeworth in the NPL this year, both against Magic in that 3-0 win in round 12. Mate, a game that will be remembered for a long time, that game.
He's a very good player, Adam Corley, but you know what? It's tough to get a starting spot in this Edgeworth side.
Pasquale, yeah, he's spent a bit of time on the bench. Started in the FFA Cup match against South Melbourne. Brendan Hamill, of course, leaving the club, so he's
wearing Brendan's number today, isn't he?
He is. He wasn't going to start that match if Hamill was firing and ready to go, but work commitments have rubbed him out of the back half of the season for the Eagles.
And again, Edgeworth's back four just look very comfortable. They just work in unison, don't they, CT?
Yeah,
Communication's key.
They have looked very comfortable, and we're talking some balls in behind. You know, might be the way to stretch them out, but at the moment they look like they're cruising.
I'll tell you what, if Edgeworth can pinch a ball here, it's going to be short at the back. They're going to be 2-on-2 at the back.
Wilson Edwards underneath, and Pat Wheeler pinball. Look at the amount of players within about 30 metres of the park.
But that's what Edgeworth does. They compact the space. Even though they had the ball, well, Valentine had the ball initially, so they compact the space nice and tight, and they're very good at playing in tight areas as well, aren't they, CT?
Yeah, that's right. And spoke about it earlier.
Taylor. Faulkner uses his body well.
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier, where they have that ability to compact the play really well when they're defending, and then open it up when they've got the ball. And at the very beginning of the game, we're talking about how big the pitch is, and the team that does that the best is going to go a long way to getting this job done today.
Bazzari.
And just looking here, I think Edgeworth definitely keen to keep a clean sheet. Aiden Bryce.
McBrain with the flick on towards Keanu Moore, and Pettit was there first.
Aiden Bryce, who normally is the one overlapping on the right-hand side more so than Don Bazzari on the left-hand side, just sitting back a little bit nice and early in the game. For Edgeworth, I think it's all about 3 points in this second half, and I think they're going to close it out quite well. And wouldn't be surprised if they get another one.
Yeah, it's kind of looking that way, but isn't football fun? The thought that if Valentine do get a game, it's 2-1, and then momentum's in there. It sets up for a cracking last 15-20. But that's why this scoreline is such a very, very difficult one.
So getting right underneath that one.
Carter did well there, especially with that in the windy conditions.
Matt Paul goes to Brown. And Matt Paul, he does a lot of running for the Phoenix. So much work off the ball that it's rarely noticed.
Yeah, he's been a standout this year for Valentine.
Played for Adamstown, moved there midway through last season after he was at Adamstown. Pasquale, Taylor, McBrain chipping forward. What a chance he had within the first 30 seconds of this half. Brodie Taylor to make it 3-0. Didn't take it, so the match is still Edgeworth definitely well in their hands and in their control, but Valentine not yet killed off. Here's Wheeler. Now to Bazzari. Building up nicely they were, but Wilson Edwards.
You mentioned in the first half, CT, I think the team who holds possession the best are going to come out in front. Here we go.
Here's a chance, Murray, but it was, guess who? Josh Evans there.
Yeah, he sort of waited for the ball there. He came for the ball, flicked it on. Then they were away, but I think you'll find Edgeworth will just hold possession in this second half. Really work the Valentine defence. Really try and wear them down, wear the clock down.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally agree with that. And, it's a sensible thing to do because the more possession they have, they're not in any desperation or rush to get to where they've got to go. They've just got to work on some solid build-up and make sure they stay compacted in defence, and they'll be hard to claw back.
The long throw. They don't mind the long throw.
Josh Evans again.
Valentine. I'm sure Damien Zane has been doing his research on that. It's Keanu Moore. Get away from Faulkner. He used his body well and then wins the free kick. He does use his body very well, Alec Faulkner, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been a great player for Valentine as well, him and his mate Jalen Brown.
Question is, will they be here again next year? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
Smudge, something else we spoke about in the first half was Bart getting an opportunity next week with Fox Sports to do some commentary on the live stream in the FFA Cup. Both very proud, but both excited about your opportunity there, Bart. So you'll do a great job there next week. So if you get the opportunity, tune in and listen to one of our own doing his best.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the support, and thanks to everyone that watches every week, and you too as well for helping me out. So. And
he'll be linked up with Danny McBrain, who's out here playing at the moment, who's done a great job on Wednesday night.
Yep, we were both very excited, Smudge and I, when we found out that Bart was going to get this opportunity. So, hopefully it's just another step in his career.
We've got a substitution here for Valentine. Chris Brown comes off. Josh Murray. Chris Brown comes on. Josh Murray and Josh Carroll. The two Joshes are off. Luke Willard also on. And the debate's still raging. Was it a penalty last week against Hamilton Olympic in the last minute?
Yeah.
You're a Valentine fan? Yeah. Yes, it was. If you're an Olympic fan, no, it wasn't. It was, yeah. It's a tough one, wasn't it?
But even prior to that, Valentine had a great opportunity to go 2-0 up, and it was a great save by Tyler Warren, which kept him in the game. And then they just switched off for that last 10-minute period where, again, Bolchi's Houdini, done Houdini act and got the result.
Reece Pettits. Had a bit of traffic in front of him there. Keanu Moore calmly wide to Adam Corley. Steps back to Aiden Bryce.
So just on the other game, Maitland have scored through Jai McKellar. So 2-1 to Maitland at Lambton.
Unbelievable. We talk about sometimes when the pressure is off sides and they can't make finals anymore, that sometimes they just perform better. You know, you normally think it'll go the other way, but Maitland, there you go.
See, Lambton still need to be a little bit careful they don't come fourth in the race.
They have beaten Edgeworth twice, though, this year, so I'll be confident going in. That twice out of 3 matches they got carved up in the FFA Cup, obviously. The last meeting between the sides is Matt Paul.
Yeah, it looks like Matty Paul's got an issue here.
But Joe Wheelhouse. I cannot see Lambton beating Edgeworth without Joe Wheelhouse. Can you see it happening, CT?
Well, they haven't this year without Joe.
Well, as soon as he went off that day and got in his injury.
So let's look at the stats. This year, Edgeworth v Lambton, with Joe Wheelhouse playing, Lambton 4-0. Without Joe Wheelhouse playing, 5-0 Edgeworth. That says enough about his influence.
Even on that day where he was injured, the game changed.
And you called it early, CT, too.
And we've seen the influence he has, because Lambton have really struggled since he hasn't been in the side. Brodie Taylor.
One of you
Russell.
One of you two mentioned.
Thrown to ground by Brodie Taylor, or just be the goal kick.
One of you two mentioned that he's not the only player in the team. Was that Bolchi? Maybe being Bolchi.
No, it was Damien Zane.
Damien Zane, okay. Sorry. However, he is the general in their team, and taking him out of that, he's the one that directs traffic. He keeps it all together. He brings the defence in when it needs to, pushes it out, strikers width. And you take him out of the side, a big blow, especially someone who can play.
It's Cairo over the top for Willard. Just coming back to that, CT. I think there was 2 things that happened there. Joe Wheelhouse left, massive impact on the game. Edgeworth, FFA Cup, they always step up. They were brilliant in the second half. That's 2 factors, and that's basically what happened in the second half in that match. Cairo. You can't say, well, it was definitely Joe Wheelhouse. You got to say, well, I think it was a combination of factors as Matt Paul curls it in and Cavalieri there.
Yeah, you can't actually say that. You'd love to know the outcome of the game if he'd stayed on the park. Would Edgeworth have still won? Probably. But he certainly had an impact, and I know there were a few frustrated people at Lambton when he was injured.
Valentine with the free kick here. Yeah, you're doing Edgeworth a disservice by saying, well, yeah, it was all Joe, and you're doing Lambton a disservice by saying, well, it was all Edgeworth. Both played a part.
And there's been rumours swirling around that Joe may be moving from Lambton next year.
We've just been handed some Valentine caps. I'm not sure how we're going to help them from up here, but...
Latitude 35 latitude, sorry.
It's their major sponsor. Sponsors Day here at Valentine.
Yeah, they've done a great job here. I can't actually wear mine with my headset on, so... Josh Evans, there you go. You don't see that often, do you? Josh Evans substituted, and Aaron McLaughlin enters the fray. Outstanding performance again from Josh Evans.
Outstanding year again from Josh Evans. That's how much confidence Damien Zane's got in his play. He's willing to take his captain off. Unless he's got a knock or something, obviously he's feeling pretty comfortable at the moment.
Riley Russell. Now with Brown.
I think next time we go and play golf, CT, we're going to have to wear these hats, I think. We're
looking pretty sharp.
You look like you're glowing, actually. It's making your face really rosy.
Yeah. Could be.
I'll tell you what, they won't miss you.
I know, we're looking very bright here. getting towards that point where we start looking at Sports Click man of the match. Some outstanding players on the park, and that man you've mentioned, Pat Wheeler's been one of them.
Here he is, Daniel McBrain. Can he show his toe here? Gets into the back of Faulkner. 40 years old, Daniel McBrain. Showing his speed there.
Do you know, Bart, I've not mentioned his age once this year. Last year I mentioned it a few times.
Every week,
but this year I have not mentioned his age once. Still a spring chicken.
Aaron McLaughlin.
Faulkner wouldn't want to get outrun by a 47-year-old, would he?
Oh,
Keanu Moore. Is this the moment to seal it? Aaron McLaughlin with the chance.
Oh, it has to be
McBrain!
Oh! Offside.
Bit of emotion there, Smudge. Not even magic.
Bit of a man crush, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
Love is in the air.
No, I've known Macca for about 25 years, I think.
But here we go, McBrain. But he still couldn't hit the target here.
Actually, longer than 25
Probably
years.
Knew he was offside as well.
Bangs it into the apex. Corley.
Yeah, nice touch by Corley. Well defended as well by
Reece Pettit. Well, it could have gone either way there. Goes Reece Pettit's way. On the 40-metre rugby league line. Home of Lakes United. This ground, Carl Oval. Rumours Valentine are actually going to move to Crowders Bay, their juniors' home. So we'll wait and see whether that will happen in the off-season.
Just again, Jalen Brown, he's got Pat Wheeler and Aidan Bright or Don Bazzari.
Holtz over the top. McBrain unmarked on the left. Can he find him?
Well defended.
Keanu Moore. Alec Faulkner was back there again. And Carter quickly up the ground. They haven't got much time. It's of the essence at the moment. 24 and a half to go.
I was just saying before, Jalen Brown up against the two centre-backs from Edgeworth. He's had a difficult day because it's 2v1. I'd like to see him a bit deeper or a little bit wider so he's got some space.
And the thing is, you bring Josh Evans off and Don Bazzari slots in there.
Yeah, he's a quality player. Such a great utility player. CT was a good utility player back in the day.
Here's Corley over the top for Pettit and Edwards. Willard. And now for Don Bazzari. Keanu Moore. I mentioned he's scored twice for McBrain caught offside. Keanu Moore, 2 goals in the Victorian NPL with Bentley against Green Gully and St Albans. And he scored once in the NPL Northern New South Wales with Edgeworth in round 19 against Charlestown. He scored here last year, Carl Oval, in Edgeworth's 4-0 win in round 6. Some good memories he has of this ground. Brodie Taylor also scored last year in round 6, scored earlier today. Dylan Holtz scores goals late in the season. He had a great run at the back end of last year and scored again to make it 2-0 for Edgeworth this afternoon. And for 66 minutes and 47 seconds, they've rarely threatened, have they, Valentine? Just Edgeworth with the brick wall.
And that's a full credit to Edgeworth's defensive unit from the back to the front. They've been just rock solid. We spoke about it in WCT. They're just so compact. Everyone knows their role. Everyone knows their job. And when they get the ball, they spread. And they spread quick.
And it's been very obvious through the game that that's the way that's happened. And we talked about it right at the beginning. The team that does that is going to go a long way to this one on a big pitch.
So what has happened to Valentine at the back end of the season? What do you think has been the difference between them making the finals and not?
Magic.
Brodie Taylor curls it in. So that's as simple as that. You're not saying, well, they could have been better in this area. Do you look back at that Adamstown game and go, that was huge. McGinley misses the penalty that could have made it 3-0 before the break. Well,
I think Valentine's exceeded everyone's expectations this year. So, and unfortunately for them, Magic just had a seven-game winning streak, which has really, put pressure on them. So,
yeah, we know it's not all about Magic, but
I know that.
I would say that if there is something, it's about they haven't exceeded their own expectations in their group. They believed they could win the premiership. They believed they could, and some people weren't doubting that either.
Brody Taylor through the middle. And that's the thing, for them, they would have wanted to win the whole competition, but at least make the finals after the start they would have had. And I know you can't pinpoint certain moments in a season because it all comes together as Matt Paul may not be over for them just yet, calls it in, McLaughlin away. I know you can't pinpoint and say that was the game that was the difference because there's so many factors in a season that come together.
Oh, 100%.
You just look at that game against Adamstown, up 2-0, could have been 3. They're 3 points better off. It makes the job a lot harder for Magic.
But also they played Maitland here. Maitland were down to 10 men. Valentine were down to 10 men, and then Jalen Brown scores a ripper to salvage a point. There's swings and roundabouts with every sort of game. So
he's petted across to Riley Russell. Now Brown turns away expertly from Aiden Bryce, and then puts a ball onto Chris Brown. Brown across the face, and that's probably Valentine's best attacking raid of the match, and straight into the arms of Cavalieri.
And we talk about forward runs beyond the back four. That's probably the first time where they've had a forward run beyond the back four, and they've looked dangerous.
Can Chris Brown change this match? He was outstanding last week against Hamilton. He's their second leading scorer with 3 goals. Can the Scotsman conjure up some magic?
I hope he does, but I'm unsure. Edgeworth are looking very comfortable at the moment.
Faulkner plays it straight to Corley. Here's McBrain. He's offside again.
Oh, Carter. He's sharp off his line, isn't he, CT?
He is, and down at the other end, it's good to see we've got the pronunciation of Cavalieri in play and working well. Sweet boys.
We have. It's Pasquale, Corley, McBrain. Nice touch onto Corley. Look at the speed to Burn. Pennant gets a boot in.
Great challenge.
Just be the goal kick.
You do not want Scott Carter sitting on you. He's fallen awkwardly there.
Yeah, not good at all.
Sitting on your...
anywhere.
And because this is our last Phoenix match of the season that we will be doing next week. Next week it'll be Smudge and CT to call you through the action at Darling Street Oval, Hamilton Olympic, at home to Broadmeadow Magic. So unfortunately I'll be heading down to ski at the snow. So
yeah, that could be
leave you in the capable hands.
Normally that would be a massive match, but depends on the results over the weekend. It could be just a
snooze fest.
A snooze fest.
Well, don't you two snooze, because it won't make it very exciting. As Dylan Holtz comes from the park, Will Bauer will head on for Edgeworth. He's been so impressive this season. And I was going to mention, last Phoenix match of the season, so I better get out all this interesting info I've been given for them. Scott McGinley, he has the best little piece of bio I've been given. His day job is a food tester at McDonald's. So McBrain holds it up. Looks for Bauer. Is it an immediate impact from him?
Yeah, I like this Bauer. He's very sharp.
Here he is, McGinley.
Very elusive.
We mentioned his job, boys. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a little bit mixed because Silsey told us that a couple of the jobs have been a stitch-up. We took Jalen Brown as being a stitch-up last week with his career as budding astronaut and got a bit of a clobbering on that one.
Now McGinley after it.
To find out that that's actually true and the work that he does is beyond what most humans would do in terms of study and work.
It's outstanding, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
So much effort goes into that.
And we're hoping to catch up with his mum. We're hearing that she's coming over to Australia in about a week or so.
But I wouldn't put food testing in the same category.
No, I wouldn't.
Here's Willard curling it in. McBrain will just let that one go. What degree do you think you need for that?
I have no idea.
Here's McLaughlin. Will Bauer.
Speaking of professions, boys, would you like to hear a joke about construction?
No.
No, that's good because I'm still working on it.
Oh.
That's the first time he's laughed all year.
That's a terrible joke.
Bauer. I love how you integrated Smudge's response into it.
I actually...
Pettit over the top for Bizzari, and now Pasquale. Bauer. If you're wondering why CT's pulled out a second joke, I think the game has just entered a little bit of a phase where Edgeworth are just got Edgeworth. They've got Valentine right where they want them. They're in the grind, and something special is going to have to turn this match from here. 16.5 to go. We've got to think of our Sports Click man of the match, boys. And really, there hasn't been a bad player out there for Edgeworth. Aiden Bryce now.
To be honest, you hardly ever see a bad player for Edgeworth, do you? Even when they're a bit off their game, they still do well. Corley's been good.
Gets away. Bauer. Straight at Carter.
Corley's been good for me. The back line, Wheeler, for me, has been superb at the back. He has kept Jalen Brown absolute dead quiet.
I was going to say,
Pat Wheeler deserved man of the match.
Yeah, I think that he does.
Turn.
I think that he does. He has kept him very, very quiet, Pat Wheeler.
Jalen Brown comes at them. Brown, and just can't keep the shot on target.
And even so, just then, Pat Wheeler just marshalling his tricks with Josh Evans off, just holding their ground, allowing Brown to shoot into the wind from 25 yards out. It's going to be a difficult task.
And you saw the lack of power on the shot, and that's straight into the wind, didn't you? Bouncing before goal. Here's Jalen Brown.
And for me, Butoff, we've spoken about this. For me, Pat Wheeler, for me, has probably been the best defender in the comp so far. Just ahead of Josh Evans for me. I think he's been outstanding.
And Jalen Brown, the thing we sort of forgotten today is he's still ahead in the Golden Boot race. So plenty to play for Valentine if the result doesn't go their way this afternoon into next week.
You've got Sam Walker and Goodchild playing against each other on 11 goals tomorrow. Virgili's playing tomorrow. He's on 10 goals.
And it's over the top for Brown. It's Chris Brown. So they're playing Western next weekend, Valentine.
Just on that, Brody Taylor's been good as well for me.
Just back to Pat Wheeler here for a minute. Last week we saw Jalen Brown so dominant, probably the most single point of dominance that we've had. But virtually today, Wheeler has put him out of the game. And
Evans, yeah.
And Evans, of course, yeah. And so that compounds, what a great game he's had today.
Corley down towards the touchline. Over for a Phoenix throw.
And for Pat Wheeler, but Sports Click man of the match receives a
$50 voucher at Sports Click, Puma voucher.
Thank Joel Grinnell for that.
Yep. And just on semi-final series, the Sports Click man of the match in the semi-final series receives a $100 voucher.
Wow, very generous from Sports Click. Appreciate that. And I know the players do too. Had some instant feedback. That they enjoy the voucher and helps them out with purchase, towards some boots next year or whatever it is.
And just on, they might even want to buy some boots for the Adamstown. Adamstown's doing a golf soccer in the off season, boys.
They are. They're doing a great job out at the Rosebuds with their foot golf course. So I'm sure you check that out in the summer months.
We had a little bit of look today, didn't we, boys? Just have a quick geezer at it before they start up in the summer. And yeah, looks very entertaining, very good. And you're about to go, CT?
Yeah, it's good fun. 4 under.
Alec Faulkner. And now Edwards. Pity I got 5. It's Brody Taylor with the block. Trickle out and over against the fence.
That is probably your best joke of the year, CT.
Look, while we're there, what do you call an elephant that doesn't mean anything? Irrelevant. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
Oh, we've got some members of the crowd who are loving your joke, CT. They want the M&M joke.
All right, just one more quick one, boys.
Here's McBrain over the top. Just hang on a second. Brody Taylor.
Oh,
here's Taylor. Can he get in there in front of Carter?
Yeah, he was getting out of Carter's way. He seemed to be carts coming out.
He didn't want to get in front of him. Or wouldn't want to either.
This one's for the young boys down the front. Why did the M&Ms go to university? Because they wanted to be smarties.
I love that one. They loved it. Yes. Reese Pettit.
No, they didn't. They didn't even laugh.
Comes up towards halfway. Can he conjure something up? Nice control from Willard. Rolls it wide. Former Jaffa Luke Willard, also in the Gents Youth program. The Jaffas in a lot of bother this afternoon. They're down 2-1 against Maitland. Jai McKellar with the second for the Magpies. So a little over 10 minutes to go there. Faulkner tries to spy a gap. Matt Paul, Brown, McGinley, touch on for Kyra, and then towards Brown. And again, Edgeworth snuff out the danger. Play of the day.
Yeah, play of the day.
It's the play of the day this afternoon. McBrain, now Bauer.
To be honest, play of the day would have to be the Valentine crowd, but we can't divide up Harry Snitty between a few hundred people.
A few thousand. It's ball over the top, Brown after it. Cavalieri with the header.
Yeah, full credit to Valentine. The crowd has been superb. This is honestly the biggest crowd I've seen here. Hey, CT.
Absolutely, and there's the young boys sitting in front of us down here. They're part of the Edgeworth under 13s, I believe, and they were out playing a game last week, a couple of weeks ago now, out at Edgeworth, and they came over to have a look at the Arnett's program, and they were suitably impressed, I believe, and they were checking out the kids there, and children with disabilities playing football, and Edgeworth do a great job.
Yeah, that's an impressive program, CT.
Well,
however, I'm still surprised they laughed at your joke, because your joke was terrible.
No, it's quality. They were all over it. They left pretty soon after.
Now we've got Kigo Moriyasu just on the bench. He's getting ready to come out onto Carl Oval. Will Bauer.
3v2.
Can they seal at Edgeworth? They've been looking for the sealer for the whole second half, and Bauer can't find it. Curls it straight into the waiting arms of Scott Carter again.
He's got very, very good hands, Carter.
He's been good today, Carter.
There's never a chance of spilling that one.
He did get caught off his line when he came and rushed the ball.
Correct.
For Dylan Holtz. If he had his time again, I think he'd probably hold his ground. But in saying that, the rest of his game's been superb.
Now, Northern New South Wales NPL did put a post out on Facebook today about Les Murray and the black armbands and the minute silence as well in the NPL matches. It's Chris Brown down the touchline. Curling this one straight to Cavalieri. Yeah, we had a comment. I was just the post was talking about your favourite memories about Les Murray, and shouts from the sideline. The podcast. Now, this wasn't me that commented. It would have been Q, I'd say, and he said he was always the voice of numerous early mornings, whether it be watching the Socceroos in the World Cup or in the Champions League. He was one of the most trusted names in Australian football. When he spoke, you listened, he set the atmosphere perfectly each game, and not only saw the game unlike many, but could convey and describe it to his audiences. He'll be sorely missed.
Yeah, hear to that.
Yeah, some great words there.
Brody Taylor been subbed. He's had a great game. We just mentioned him before.
Brilliant.
He's been very good. Yeah, I think I think Pat Weller just shades him for man of the match for me. He's been very good. Scored a great goal. Been very busy.
Dean Pettit, this young man, he's the brother of Scott Pettit. Plays for Broadmeadow Magic. And Wilson Edwards comes off, and Dean Pettit, he has got a future ahead of him. I'd say we're going to see him more in the Phoenix colours next year in first grade. He's played a lot in the 20s. He scored the match winner for Valentine against Western earlier in the season. A last-minute goal there to seal 3 points as Moriyasu wide to aid Bryce. Got a little clip from Paul.
So just on Harry Snitty's player of the day, the old Harry Snitties. I love me Harry Snitties. The famous minus the cucumber with the sweet chilli sauce. CT, what do you like?
I like a lot of them, actually. I don't have a favourite. I tend to mix it up.
Okay, yeah. So you can go to Harry's at Marketown, the Junction, and also Stocklemore, Jesmond. So what are you thinking for player of the day? Obviously, the crowd's hard to divide up the city amongst the crowd.
It's a tough one. We haven't had anything out of the ordinary.
What about the bloke in the suit? The rooster suit?
The rooster?
Yeah.
It was a phoenix, mate.
Was it really?
Yeah, I know. That's what
It was yeah. Well,
They're not at Lakes.
Didn't look like a phoenix to me. As Matt Paul
Valentine
gives away the free kick. We'll try and get him up here. The phoenix. Try and find him. We haven't seen him on camera this afternoon. We'll try try and get him up for the Harry Snitzel. Aiden Bryce across the face to seal it. Bauer thunders it into the back of the net. He thumped it, Will Bauer. And Edgeworth now with one hand, maybe a second, on the minor premiership.
Yeah, the
third. They're third in a row.
You know
no
what?
side has done that since 2000.
Yeah, I think the second hand's not far off. It's only a few inches off, isn't it? It's virtually coming.
Just waiting
to pick it up.
Snatch it out of CT's basement.
Yeah.
Yes, under lock and key,
Where
by
it is
the
at
way.
the moment.
We had come back to this goal here. Look at the save
Great
from
ball.
Carter initially. He really stretched out to that, but fell directly in the path.
Didn't he thump it, Will Bauer?
And you know, Will Bauer.
Just his third of the season. Valentine, see Nate Cavalieri off his line. Oh, how's that? Nice control.
Bit of frustration from the Phoenix there with that sort of kick-off. But the finish from Bauer was a good one. He still had some work to do, and he put it home with authority. It was a great strike.
And he produces for Damien Zane, doesn't he, Will Bauer? Against Maitland at Maitland, he scored the winner in the last second off the bench. I like him. He's a very elusive player, and they're on the attack again.
Moriyasu. Can he get on the score sheet this afternoon? I'll speak about his stats in a sec, away from Jack McLaughlin Oval. But Will Bauer, his other goal, we mentioned that last-minute winner against Maitland up there against the Magpies. He's from Maitland, actually. Will Bauer, he scored his first NPL goal versus Adamstown in round 14. Great season for him. And Moriyasu, so stats on him is 18 goals last season. He scored 8 this season, but just 5.
Hamstring.
Brown.
Hamstring.
This is terrible. That could be his season. It looks like it.
Yeah, hamstring.
Jalen Brown is gone. Absolutely prone on the ground outside the perimeter of Carl Oval. They've got to put this out, surely.
He's off the ground.
So they're going to play on.
Yeah, he's off the ground, so you don't need to put it out. So they've called the strapper. The strapper's going around. Just the way you try to slow down, you eccentrically contract your hamstrings, and that's when you normally actually pull your hamstring. Not when you actually stretch them, when you're slowing down.
Here's McKinley. I don't know if we've got a replay. Might see if when there's another stoppage in play. Matt Paul, that would be terrible. It's his left. Looks as though it may be his left. Yeah. We mentioned Golden Boot, he's still one ahead. But he would have loved to have been able to play next weekend at the moment.
And against Western as well.
Yeah. Against Western, have leaked a lot of goals this year. Based on what we're seeing right now, it would be a miracle if he played next weekend. There's Bazari.
Yeah, he pulled straight up, didn't he? So that's a sign of a hamstring, and he's clutched his hamstring straight away. So
Keanu Moore. Now to McLaughlin.
Anyone that's done a hamstring, it feels like you've been hit in the back of the leg by an axe.
And they've made all their substitutions, Valentine, so they're going to have to play the remainder with 10. McLaughlin. Yeah, Moriyasu, so just 5 of his 26 NPL goals away from Carl Oval. Scott Carter.
And he scored some specials, hasn't he?
He has. A lot of them at Jack McLaughlin, where Edgeworth will be next week when they take on Lake Macquarie.
For the
Final
premiership.
match for the premiership next Sunday afternoon.
You know what? Depending on Hamilton's result tomorrow as well.
Could come down to that last match.
And Mick Bolch has left the building.
Here's Moriyasu on the turn. McBreen, can he tee him up? He tees up McBreen.
Great save.
And he couldn't buy a goal, Daniel McBreen. Scott Carter, a great save.
Moriyasu did very well there, just to hold. Very composed on the ball. Great layoff. And, great save by Carter.
He was looking for his 4th in 4 matches against Valentine, Daniel McBreen.
So, boys, Sports Click the man of the match, Pat Wheeler. I agree. I think he's been outstanding. He's been outstanding all year. I'm one of his fans.
Here's Bauer. And he goes for goal.
What about
Probably
Harry's,
in 2 minds.
Harry's player of the day? What about Damien Zane? Don't know why.
I want the fluffy Phoenix.
Well, you know what? The Phoenix might be a bit nervous because he considers himself as a schnitzel.
Is he still dressed up, the Phoenix?
We'll track him down.
Here's Faulkner. Bazari. So just 2 minutes. 2 minutes left to go at Carl Oval. The
scoreboard counting down there, minute 48.
Next next weekend, we mentioned match of the round, Hamilton against Broadmeadow Magic.
So we're saying that game before could be a dour affair, depending what the results are over the weekend. If there's certain positions already locked in, and players have got cards, that either team coaches might rest players in the last game of the season for the semi-finals if they're on cards, if they're injured, if their positions are locked in. And here we go.
Now to Bauer.
Moriyasu back to. Yep.
He is screaming down the right. Will Bauer's touch. Carter! And a huge shoulder into Bauer, who hit the deck.
Bauer's a young player. He doesn't know Scott Carter. You get out the road.
Have another look at that if we've got the opportunity.
Is that the player of the day?
He's got a coat hanger or a big needle elbow.
I haven't actually checked the score at the footy with the Knights. They're playing this afternoon. That's where Scott Carter.
Let's have another look at Carter.
Here it is. Bang.
Wally Wushka.
I don't think Will Bauer's learned his lesson. I remember Joel Wood many years ago when I was coaching. He was playing for Edgeworth Holes. Carter was in goals for Magic, and it was a one-on-one, and it was just a collision. Joel Woods fractured his ribs.
Well, just on the footy, the Knights leading the Warriors 16-4 with half an hour to go.
Okay.
Here's Pasquale. Moore. Maitland leading Lambton 2-1 in the other NPL match this afternoon. Moriyasu. Sees McBrain. The sun is right in his eyes. He's able to bring it down. Daniel McBrain. Can he score on this occasion?
Oh,
what a strike from Daniel McBrain. That does seal the match this afternoon and put some very tasty icing on the cake.
But you said McBrain scored in the last. How many matches against
4.
Valentine?
4 in the last 4, Daniel McBrain.
What a
that
strike.
Is one of the best.
What a strike.
One of the best from Daniel McBrain. He's been denied all afternoon and probably the hardest of the lot. And he has shot it straight into the bottom right corner.
But the ball by Moriyasu was pin perfect, wasn't it?
Absolutely it was. And McBrain here just stayed composed. He couldn't see it in the sun. He picks it up. He's got a fair bit of ground to cover. Stayed really inside himself and then just unleashed the beast.
And Scott Carter just went well. Too good.
That would have to be in contention for goal of the week, Bart.
4-0 as it was last year here in round 6. They've just been too good. Too good Valentine. Too good Edgeworth, I should say.
It's been just a professional performance. They knew what they had to do and they've just done it, haven't they?
And this is why they are one hand and a little bit more away from another minor premiership.
Yeah, the second hand's just about reached that cup. They're not far off. Depending on results over the weekend, it could be all wrapped up.
Riley Russell, back he goes. CT is holding the trophy. We've got CT in the picture holding the trophy.
And just here,
Damien Zane is just reaching up towards his CT.
He might be over at my place tonight to pick it up.
And in the 90th minute, Martin, Pat Wheeler's still marshalling his trips at the back. He's getting them up, pushing them up, closing the space. Great performance.
Pettit, central towards Willard. And now Corley. And to the back of, and Paul Wheeler. Man of the match this afternoon. Now he's going to go for an attacking run. Is there a fifth this afternoon? Daniel McBrain. He is charging forward, as is Pat Wheeler. There you go. He was looking for a goal. Hasn't scored this season. Matt Paul. Chris Brown. Now back for Russell. Not too long left now. Just seconds, you would anticipate. James Cleal having a look at the watch. Russell now to Faulkner. And reminder, they've only got 10 out there, Valentine, with Jalen Brown injuring what looked to be a hamstring. McBrain chips forward for
great
Moriyasu.
Ball. Great touch.
Lays it off for Keanu Moore. Wide he goes. Bazari. He doesn't score many, and he doesn't score this afternoon.
That's wonderful lead-up play there from Edgeworth. Very unselfish, quality one-touch football where it needed to be, and some great balls in. Ball from McBrain to Moriyasu, and the touch from Moriyasu. This is why they're premiership winning side, and not the first year they've done it, boys.
This has probably been one of the most impressive performances from Edgeworth. I know we're saying that they probably haven't left second gear. Just the way they've gone about it.
It's been workmanlike. Their shape's been perfect. Defensive. Great, look at that. Look at the ball. And look at that run.
Moriyasu, 4-5. Chips Carter. Kigo Moriyasu just sprinkles a little more. sugar on this ginormous cake for Edgeworth.
That was a quality goal as well. Great ball by Adam Bryce over the top. Great run.
Look, this finish from Moriyasu, he's done this before, you can see, but he just saw Carter off his line, a little dink over the top. I really rate this player, but I tell you what, finish like that and the way that he does it in such a calm manner just look like good fun. And
they are just in dreamland at the moment, Edgeworth, and they're just rubbing more salt into the wounds of Valentine.
And just at Lambton versus Maitland, games finished 2-1 to Maitland.
Huge. And finishes here, Edgeworth. 8 straight for Edgeworth against Valentine. And they keep their stranglehold over the Phoenix and end their finals hopes right here and now. The Eagles are almost there towards a 3rd straight minor premiership, and they will make sure of it. Well, they will try to make sure of it, I should say, against Lake Macquarie next weekend, where victory or a draw next weekend will seal the title. Valentine, they'll be cutted this afternoon. This week, their finals hopes have been crushed. But what a superb season it has been. Against much bigger sides with much bigger budgets, they have more than held their own, and led by their inspirational American import, they have simply been outstanding, and a sad way for Jalen Brown to end this afternoon's match, and you expect maybe the last we'll see of him this season based on that. So full time here at Carl Oval, Valentine Phoenix 0, Edgeworth Eagles simply outstanding 5.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? Valentine, the season's not over. If Magic win tomorrow, season's over. So obviously they're going to hope for the Jets to have an upset against Magic, or even a draw tomorrow still keeps them in the hunt, because Magic still play Olympic last game of the season. For me, you don't want to be playing Edgeworth in a home and away series in the semi-final. You need to come 2nd or 3rd, because they are a dominant force. And I said at the start of the year, I thought they were going to be better than last year, and I do believe they are.
Absolutely. Look, 2 in the first half, 3 in the second. They controlled possession, they controlled field position, and, you know, in the end, just a dominant performance. But
just what they've done the last 2 seasons. They just continue to show their quality. And Edgeworth not going into the sheds. They're going to stay out on the ground. The boys are going to head down. I'll just run through the ladder here as it stands. We'll cross down to Smudge and CT, but a huge upset this afternoon at Arthur Eden Oval, with Maitland defeating Lambton Jaffers 2-1. A real shock. So mathematically, as we've spoken about, Maitland's still a chance going into the final round. It all comes down to Broadmeadow Magic and the Jets Youth tomorrow. Broadmeadow can seal their spot in the finals with a victory there. The ladder as it stands at the moment, Edgeworth first on 42, played 19 matches. Hamilton second, 37 points. They've played 18. They play Lake Macquarie tomorrow. Lambton Jaffers third on 36. Broadmeadow fourth on 33. Just the differential for Lambton much better than Broadmeadow's. Lambton are plus 19. Broadmeadow, they are plus 9. So even if they're level on points come the end of the season, those two, Lambton will have the upper hand. Valentine 5th, 32 points. Maitland 6th, 31. Lake Macquarie 7th, 22. Charlestown 8th, 16. Adamstown 16 as well. They've got the bye this weekend. The Jets Youth on 15 in 10th, and Western, they will claim their second wooden spoon in as many seasons, with 2 matches to go. They're only on 7 points, so they can only get to 13. So, wow, what an afternoon for Edgeworth. We're going to head down to Damien Smith. He is with our Sports Click man of the match. It's Pat Wheeler.
That's good. Wheeler, Edgeworth Eagles defender as our Sports Click $50 Puma voucher man of the match. Pat, congratulations, mate. Great effort today. Superb effort by Edgeworth. I thought you just outclassed Valentine from the word go and in total control for the whole game.
Yeah, I thought we done pretty well. Zany had a game plan, and we went out and put it into plan. So.
Mate, your own form this year, you've been outstanding for me. You've been one of the premier fullbacks in the competition. What are your thoughts on that?
I just think I've had an all right season. I moved out of home, so Mum and Dad stopped feeding me. So I think I'm doing all right.
The combination with yourself and Josh Evans in the centre of the back. Jalen Brown last week was such a dominant force against Hamilton Olympic, and Olympic really struggled to control him. But you two just teamed up on him. He barely got a touch all game. It was a tremendous performance.
Yeah, me and Josh were at the game last week and did a bit of a scouting report, and we just tried to stay close enough to him so he couldn't turn us and get at us. So yeah.
Yeah, the boys, the game against South Melbourne last week, obviously a very heartbreaking loss in the final second of the game, and the boys have picked up, got 3 points against Western, you got 3 points against Valentine. You could wrap the premiership up this weekend, depending on results. Yeah,
that would be nice. Get it done early, but we want to go out next week and win it against. Get another win. So if we win it next week, that's good too.
And just quickly, towards the end of the game, you haven't scored a goal all year, so you might have the nudie run at the end of the year. You're pushing forward, trying to get one.
Yeah, the last couple of games I've been trying to push forward and get a goal, but they don't want to pass the ball to me for some reason. So I don't know what's going on.
All right, mate. Well, all the best next week, and all the best for the semi-final series. And you're our Sports Click Man of the match. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll pass you over to Chris Turner for our play of the day, Damien Zane.
Congratulations, mate. Yeah, well, look, we got your play of the day. That's token and irrelevant. Not to Harry Schnitties, of course. However, in context of what's happened today, huge result for you guys. This Phoenix, look, for me, they were a bit dangerous for you this week. You've come out with 5 goals. However, were you wary of them coming into the match?
Oh, of course, they've had a fantastic season, and I was at the game last week, and I think they were hard done by not to get anything out of it. So, yeah, while other teams have probably maybe underestimated him in the first half of the year and waiting for him to fall down, I didn't believe they would. And I think, I've told my boys and put them on notice that, they will be coming out. Their season's on the line, and to turn in a performance like that is special.
If you had to be very specific, where did you win the game?
Oh, I think our composure was good. Our rotations and in midfield and in wide areas was really fluent. And, on a tough pitch, it's easy to blame and say, we can't play out on there, but we showed you can. Obviously Pat and Josh with Lockie in front did the job on their danger man, really.
We spoke about him before during normal commentary that Jalen Brown was, last week, outstanding, wonderful individual performance. But your pairing at the back and then Pasquale in front, screening him off, did a wonderful job, didn't they?
They were fantastic. They have been all year. For me, Pat Wheeler's been the best player in the competition this year, hands down. So all he can't do is score goals.
Well, we saw that. Listen, finally, the boys are joking, the premiership trophy's at my house. Are you feeling like you're ready to come and pick it up?
Yeah, no, we've got a win to go, and realistically 4 points would have done, but I said to the boys, that's not us. We go to win every game, so yeah, we'll hopefully get the 3 points next week, and fingers crossed it might even be wrapped up before then, but I think the boys want you in the sheds to have a talk to you and Ben about your tips as well.
Yeah, we'll move on from that. You're Harry Schnitzel's player of the day, not just on today's performance with your coaching, but all season, mate. So enjoy the snitty.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
All right, thanks very much. We'll catch up with you shortly. Yeah, we'll wrap it up from the touchlines here. Now, moving on from this afternoon, Edgeworth just totally dominant. Next week, I know we've got a bit of Carl Oval on the mic. Next weekend, Broadmeadow Magic head to Darling Street to take on Olympic. Your thoughts on that one?
What I do know, there's going to be a cracking crowd in there, and every time you get those two clubs into that ground, or either ground, the atmosphere alone's enough to lift it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Look, Olympic are on a real roll at the moment. I like the way they're going about their football. They're doing now what I expected them to do at the beginning of the season, and I'm expecting them to give Magic, who've also been going on a great run, a really good game. I'm going to pick Olympic next week, even though Magic have been on such a run of form.
Smudge, how's your commentary going to go next week when Magic score?
Just on that, I think on the Magic versus... funny one. Just on the game Magic versus Olympic next week, I think it really depends on results over this course of the weekend, because if the semi-final sort of positions are locked up, I don't think Magic or Olympic will risk players who are on cards or are injured next weekend, so it could be like a dull affair. But you know what? But in saying that, Magic versus Olympic is hardly ever a dull affair, you know. So commentary next week, I'll go Magic.
There you go. All right, we're split. They're split. I'm just going to say draw. All right, because I'm in the middle. We'll catch you guys on Thursday this week, 7 p.m. for the NPL show. Next week, Saturday, 6 p.m. Hamilton Olympic up against Magic. Until then, it was full time this afternoon. Valentine Phoenix 0, Edgeworth Eagles 5.